But when I went to India for the first time when I was 9 years old, I remember we were in a car and I remember like stopping at a traffic light and just looking out and I saw all these slums. And I mean, I'd never seen something like that in London. And I saw these little legs poking out of a barrel of a trash can. And the legs looked little, like of someone my age. Wow. Around. And then slowly I saw her whole body come out. And it was this girl and she didn't have any hands. And she'd just been like trying to scrape the bottom. And I remember being 9 years old and she was probably maybe the same age, maybe a little less. And I remember just looking at her and feeling like totally helpless because I was in a car on the other side of the highway and I can't go and help her. I want to, but I also don't know what help means as a 9-year-old. And it was one of those experiences that, and then I went back, I remember, to my hotel and I remember hearing like someone was arguing about not enough menu options on the buffet. And it was like, it was like connecting the dots, as you're saying, of like, you know, when you see your experience and then you see someone else's experience.
We are so attached to the idea of who we are, the story that we've told ourselves, the story that we continue to tell ourselves, who we are, who we wish to be, who we should be, whether it's designed by what our parents always said about us. You're such a quiet child. You're such a lovely person. You're so kind. You're so polite. And you go, that I am, oh, I should be then. You know, whatever it may be. But sometimes I find I would get so attached to that that then I would be afraid to let go of the things that may be holding me back because I don't want to lose me. Because who is me if I don't have the pain? Who is me if I don't have the trauma? Who is me if I don't have the mistrust? I don't want to lose me. Yeah. I'm me. I know me. What if I'm not me? I love me. And if I want to lose me, do I still love me? For me, the true definition of the word home is familiar, of the family. It's a repeated interaction. That's all home is to me. My friends are my home. The languages, you know, I speak are my home. The food I eat in South Africa is my home. I feel like your friends in life are your Horcruxes.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You know?
Yeah,
I think as people, what we do is we break ourselves into parts. And whenever we meet people, we give them a part of ourselves. And some people we give more than we give others. But we give everyone a different part of ourselves. No one in your life has the same part that another person has. They may seem similar, but they're not. Your mother and father hold different parts of you. Your uncles, your cousins, your brothers, sisters, your friends, whoever it is, they all hold a different parts of you. And the same way Voldemort could use that to come back to life, I feel like we can use that to come back to life.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you watched a different movie.
I find it so interesting how the loudest parents who aren't good at reading a room will have the most shy child.
Yes.
You know, and then the parents who aren't good at being outgoing, and they'll have kids who are running and screaming and greeting everybody and talking to them, because there's this interesting thing that happens in nature where I feel like, you know, the child tries to correct for what the parent may be lacking.
Wow.
You know?
So true.
I forget that I'm wearing the seatbelt. I love wearing my seatbelt, especially on a plane. I buckle it long before they tell. I'm like, but this thing is, it holds you. Wow. It's helping you stay intact. It's helping you stay in the place you need to be in. But if you don't know how to let it go when you need to, now you're trapped.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm constantly trying to work on, which is so hard, Jay.
Yeah,
it's like, man, I go like, okay, all right, my safety belt, my seat belt, all right. It might be my personality. It might be the way I see the world. It might be how I've learned to interact with others. It might be anything, how I eat, how I think, what I do, what I don't, what I love, what I will, all these things. And I get that. And I always just try and ask myself, I go, okay, all right, is this still your seatbelt, or has it now become a trapping?
What is one word to describe what someone would say about you meeting you for the first time?
Friendly.
What is one word to describe what someone would say about you that knows you extremely well?
Consistent.
What is one word you'd use to describe yourself?
Mercurial. Remember when I was young and I was diagnosed with ADHD, they made it seem like you can't pay attention, when in fact, it's the fact that you can't choose what to pay your attention to. Very good at paying attention.
Yeah.
You know? And so,
wow. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Never assume.
What is the worst piece of advice you've ever heard?
Always be yourself.
What is something you used to value that you no longer value?
Fame.
If you could create one law that everyone in the world had to follow, what would it be?
Everyone in the world, right? I would create a law that said, everyone in the world randomly could be given the lowest person's bank account. Like that, it could be like that would be the law, is that we do this weird system where every year, randomly, the lowest person's bank account can just go out and become everybody's bank account.
Wow.
The reason I would do that is because I think if we lived in a society where more people felt like their fate was tied to the least of us, they would have a little more compassion and think a little more about how those people may or may not be existing.